So basically right now it is 6 a.m. I'm about to fall asleep. I really have like no energy left whatsoever, and that's because I've been working all day, basically all day and all night, and now it's morning again. So I've been burning the midnight oil, as they say. And what was I doing? I was building a crypto mining rig, and I just thought before I go to bed, I just show you what I worked on today and what I plan to do tomorrow. It's currently day 2 of building my crypto mining rig, and I've gotten most of the things done. There are a few things left to do, but let me just show you what I've done so far. Let's take a look here. So we've gotten most of the GPUs in place. We've gotten the motherboard in place, the RAM in place, the CPU fan, the CPU chip is underneath there as well. Yeah, the SSD drive as well, and we have the PCIe riser thingamajigs. That's where you plug them in. And what else? Yeah, I did a lot of actual, not woodworking, but I guess you can call it metalworking. So I did a lot of cutting here, and I did that to give space, to give a little more breathing room for my GPUs. I think it was the right thing to do. And it didn't cost me that much because basically the entire shoe rack here cost me about 20 pounds, and then buying a saw that cuts metal cost me 5 pounds, and this will likely last, like, you know, for another project or another mining rig in the future. I'm going to use it again. Maybe the blade will get dull, but that can easily be replaced. And some people are wasting their money. They're spending 200 pounds. So I think that I did the right thing. You know, I only spent 20 pounds on this thing. And although I spent a lot more on everything else, and I might have overpaid for some of the stuff, I think I did pretty well, and this is my first mining rig. Yeah, so far so good. So it is about 1:45 on Friday. It's day 3 of my construction of a mining rig, and I think I'm getting there. Let's look at what we have here. So my dad just brought over a few GPUs. That is a 1080, that's another 1080, and that's a 1660 Super. And while we're at it describing GPUs, we might as well go over what I have over here. And I've already plugged in 3 different GPUs. I've got a 1660 Ti, that is a 1070, and that is a 3060. So we'll see if all these work together. My main concern is whether this power supply will support all of these. So we will see that in due time. I will first test out these 3. But for now, I might as well just hang up everything, assuming all of them will work. Because why the hell not? It's a very easy thing to do. There's no big brain tasks involved. So might as well get cracking. Yeah, so now I've successfully attached all of my GPUs, and I did have some problems attaching the 1660 Super, which is right over here. Let's take a look from a different angle. I actually dropped it 3 times while attempting to put on cable ties. That's probably the dumbest mistake I've made so far. Let's see if it's in functioning order, but yeah, let's have a look at all these GPUs while we still can, and they're not completely covered in fans, which is what I'm gonna do next, is cover them in fans. So yeah, very nice.
And one little thought before we move on, I thought I'd just point out, I had no idea the 1080s were going to be so big. So when you are going to build your own GPU mining rig, just make sure you know what size the GPUs are and how big your overall frame is going to be, because although like it's kind of okay, like there is just enough space to fit it in. I had the assumption that the 1070 and the 1080 was going to be the same size, and boy was I wrong, because there's actually an extra fan. So really do your research and make sure you know what size they are.
It's not over yet. You don't remember, I won't let you forget the hatred I bestowed upon your neck with a fatal blow from my teeth to my tongue. And I get swallowed, but it's just begun. Now you are mine. Again, killing you, turning in the turn. Surprise! You're dead. Guess what? It never ends. The pain and torment that torture, profanity, nausea, suffering, corrosion, commitment, and you can't get away. It's not over yet. You don't remember, I won't let you forget the hatred I bestowed upon your neck with a fatal blow from my teeth to my tongue. And I get swallowed, but it's just begun. Now you are mine. Again, killing you, turning in the turn.
So I could add another fan for the 1080s, so they have an extra one for airflow here. Basically my airflow setup is very unique because I have the cards facing the opposite direction, 6 cards, so 3 kind of on each side, and then the fans would be projecting the air out. So I think it would be a good airflow solution. Obviously for the bigger cards, this is it might prove less effective, because I mean it won't be pushing as much air out, especially for the 1080s, because look at, like, I assume a lot more heat is going to come out, and from my data, like from my research, it does have a bigger power consumption than my other cards. Maybe not the 3060, that might prove to be an efficient card, which is right here. That's the 3060, which is for some reason smaller than the 1080. I guess as technology progresses, the more efficient things get smaller. What I like about my setup here is the cable tie network I have here. So it's really tight. You know, it won't like, the fan won't fly off or anything like that. And I do have 2 spare fans if I choose not to use them. It just won't look as good because these will all light up. These are RGB fans, so they're gonna change colors. We're gonna see how that looks. So what am I gonna do now? Well, since everything basically depends on a power switch coming by Amazon today, before that arrives I really can't do much. And when it does arrive, I'm gonna test 3 GPUs, which are already plugged in, and then if my what's it called, power usage or electricity usage meter, whatever you call it, comes, then I can measure how many watts are being used by this device, and if it will indeed support the remaining GPUs, because I calculated this power supply would be good enough for possibly 6 1070s, but because I have a wide array of cards and it didn't turn out to be all 6 1070s, it appears that there may be an issue with whether the PSU will support the remaining GPUs. In the meantime, I'm going to do a cleanup, and then what else am I going to do? I'm going to figure out how to install HiveOS. I think it's currently the best option. It seems to be the most popular operating system for mining remotely, and that's something I'm very keen on doing. And I think they give you a free membership as long as you have 4 workers or less. So if it turns out that my PSU cannot currently support all 6, then I could just mine with 4 and then see how that works out. So right now it is 5:45 And what I've done over the past few hours, not the entirety of that time, but some of those hours, I've spent cleaning up this area here. So as you can see, it looks a lot tidier. Very little cable work to do afterwards, you know, tidying up the cables. And most of the extra cables, or the cables that I don't need, or maybe some of the ones that I do need, will be in this area over here. So in this bag, this is a nice little bag because it comes from the power supply. You know, it didn't cost me a penny, and yeah, no, I just thought it was a good place to put all the wires. Mandatory coffee for the win. So right now I'm just going to figure out how to flash the HiveOS software, and afterwards I'm just going to wait for the power switch to arrive because there's really nothing else I can do. I don't want to power it directly from the power supply. That seems rather improper. You know, you don't shut off a computer by shutting off the power supply. It's usually the motherboard that you're actually turning off. So I thought, yeah, I might as well give a crack at that. And all right, so I've just flashed my USB with HiveOS, and I've inserted it into my mining rig. I've got my power switch right over here for the motherboard. I've got my electricity usage meter ready to take any data and measure the readings. What else? Ethernet cables plugged in. And I've also disconnected all the cables. And now for the moment of truth. What up, y'all? It is Sunday midnight, and I finally figured out what was wrong with my mining rig and why I wasn't getting anything on the screen when I was trying to boot it up. That's because it was a problem with the CPU compatibility. And basically the CPU does not have integrated graphics. So when I was trying to boot up the motherboard by itself without any GPU, it wouldn't show anything on the screen. So that means I had to use a GPU for that means I had to use a GPU. So that means I had to use a GPU for discrete graphics, and that means you basically plug in your GPU, as I've done here, and it would do the work for the motherboard, and you would get some kind of output. And so what it goes to show is that you really have to do research on your motherboard and CPU. My motherboard's fine, I had no idea that there weren't any integrated graphics on this particular CPU. This is the i5 Intel I'll have it up here when I'm talking, but yeah, the point is it's one of those that just didn't have integrated graphics. So you really have to do your research when you're doing your mining rig. And but look, hey, I'm happy now. I figured out how to do it. I've booted HiveOS. But what I don't like about what I'm doing is that I'm doing it on a hard drive. That means if I plug it out, there is no more HiveOS as far as I know. Maybe you could save it to the M2 chip that I have over there. And so I might either add it to an M2 chip or a SATA drive as I have over here. And so it could be in the name of the science, you know, we learn which way is best. And I think it's obviously M2 or SATA because it's just, that's sort of what you do with operating systems. You put them on those kind of internal drives. You don't put your Windows on thumb drive usually. That's not normal, right?